Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about the Albion Destiny board. Basically I just wanted to go over it a little bit because a lot of people have been having a problem with it. Um, Mainly with the combat stuff and which transcends into the crafting stuff. And I want to go over it at a deeper level. And I will go over everything. I'll just try to go over everything else quickly because it's more about what I just mentioned. So we're just going to you start with this ability here in the center when you make a character, and all the ones below it, which are all starting, I guess you'd say, abilities like weaponsmith and such. And then after that, you have an adventure level, which the adventure level is all fame earned, which fame is the XP in this game if you haven't realized yet, or if you haven't played it or anything. Fame is the XP, and as you get fame, see it takes 9,000 fame to get to Journeyman Adventure, and different adventure levels let you equip different mounts, which are faster, which are very key in this game, or maybe oxes that can hold more things when you're crafting, or gathering. Accessories such as bags and capes, which capes and bags are very useful as well. Capes give you CC immunity, or CC resistance, and bags also just give you more space for more gathering stuff, and you can build better buildings, and you can demolish buildings. And it goes all the way up to the highest, which is Elder. And so yeah, and then after that we'll talk about farming. Farming pretty much goes into things such as herbalism, which is like gathering herbs out of a herb garden on your plots, on your own island. Harvesting, which is also the same sort of thing. And then pastures can make you be able to make mounts. You can make ox and mounts and everything. And then also alchemy and cooking, which is just used for cooking is more for like HP regen and things like that. And then alchemy is more for like instant use stuff, like stone skin also gives you 100% immunity, things like that. That's just an example. Next, we'll go over the crafting tree. The crafting tree, I want to go over slightly because combat's a little bit more, like combat is pretty much the same thing as crafting for the most part, other than like things like this, tool maker, and refining, which refinery stuff is like when you do gather something, you'll be able to refine it down. So like say you gather some cotton and then you want to put it down into cloth. That's what I've been doing. Fiber weaving. You can do that, and that's what refining is, like making wood into wood planks, things like that. And then tool crafter, it just makes tools, bags, and capes. And then over here, we have Mage's Tower, we got Hunter's Lodge, and we got Warrior's Forge. And each of these go up into the different combat tiers, such as Warrior's Forge would be warrior weapons and warrior armor. Or warrior weapons, I guess you'd say heavy armor, medium armor, what would you call that? Hunter weapons. And then light armor and mage weapons. And then pretty much that's how you figure out your crafting, guys. If you guys know what you want to be doing, then you just go up into here, figure out what the fuck you're doing, get your shit up, and then you can start crafting better things. And now we'll move on to the juice. The combat tree is the most useful thing to know in this game because the combat tree pretty much lets you talk in game, because a lot of people use things such as tiers and what I'm going to be calling the T-point system, which will be like tier point system in full to show you guys what there is. The combat tree is the most important thing to know because a lot of people use it in their like lingo and chat shit. So like things such as like looking for T5 for dungeon and things like that, T5 DPS. If you don't know what that is, then maybe you don't know if you can join the dungeon or not, or maybe you do, and then you spend your money traveling there and you can't actually do it. I'm gonna be sitting here trying to explain the benefits of each of these and how you should be going about looking for a weapon to use in the game when you first started, because it's not always about what the highest end of the tree is, you know? So, for an example, first we'll talk about armors. The three types of armor are right here. Heavy starts right there. Heavy goes up to all tiers. There's a body, a helmet, and boots, which is consistent across all trees for armor. So this is all heavy, but at point 1 heavy, which is the T-point system that I'm using, the T-point would be these rings around the base of the first circle. This would be T1 across here, where I'm pointing, all the way up around here. T2 would be the next one up, and then T3 would be the top one. Or not T3, sorry, point 3. That's the T-point system I'm be going across. And that's how you figure out what you are in game, and that's what a lot of people are confused by. They'll think that after this, they'll be like this is T4, right? And they know that because it says it on the armor. And then when you get up here, they'll think that they're T5, you know? And then T6, but that's not how it works. It'll be T4.1, T4.2, and T4.3. Um, the only way to go up in levels is, for example, say you got to the top tier of boots in heavy, right? The mastery system is what actually contributes to your tier in the game. So right here it'd be heavy depth cloth shoes would be 4.3. Then you go up, you'd be 5.3. Then you go up, you'd be 6.3, 7.3, 8.3, and then you start getting enchanted things which are actually better than whatever. So you'll be enchanted T5 and or I don't know if heavy would be T5, but you know what I mean. They'll be better, but they're not actually T8 anymore. So yeah, that's basically the tier system in the game. After that, I want to explain the different types of armors. I got a little off topic, but that's good to know. Next is the armor system, and the armor system basically goes heavy, medium, light. The differences between heavy, medium, and light right now are heavy. The weights of the items give you different things. The weights give you different abilities and different passives. So, for example, chest piece, it'll be the same all the way up, so it doesn't matter which one I'm clicking on. But the chest piece for heavy, it gives you different spells per because it is heavy. So the heavy gives you different abilities, different composite on whatever one you want. Because look at it, maybe look at it in game. So yeah, so it's consistent. You will get some more skills depending on how high the tier you go. That's always how it is for anything in this game. But next we're going to be talking about the material, because even though you're in heavy, and at point 1 heavy, you're going to be using plate. At point 2, you're going to be using leather. And at the last tier, you're going to be using cloth. So at point 3 heavy, you're going to be using cloth. And a lot of people don't like that, because they're like, why would a heavy user be using cloth? It's weird. Because depending on the material in which you're using, the material changes the stats that you have. So, for example, these are the stats. See how much more magic resistance you have than armor? The way it'll work in this game, and I can try to prove it to you right here, is see how even it is? And then on armor, see how off it is. What basically it is for plate, you get more armor than magic resist. For leather, you get even. And then for cloth, you get more magic resist than armor. And that's how it's going to be consistently across all tiers. And that pretty much, through only showing you the heavy tier of stuff, pretty much shows you every tier, because even though there will be different skills for these armors, obviously they have different things. I can try to let you guys get some pauses in. For just leather, it'll be consistently like that. So leather will have its different spells, or not leather, sorry. Medium will have its different spells, light will have its different spells, and heavy will have its different spells. But then cloth, leather, and plate will always have different stats, to the point where and you can customize it how you like. If you want to have a little bit more like actual physical damage resistance, then you might want to go with some heavy plate instead. You might want to go, like, say you want to be a tank, but you want to be able to withstand a lot of like auto attack damage. Then maybe you just want to go with the point 1 with the plate fighter, you know? If you want to do some magic resistance, maybe you want to go with cloth. Me personally, I just like going with straight leather everything pretty much, because then leather everything gives you, you know, even amounts of everything. But yeah, so next we'll be talking about the weapon system. So with the weapon system, a good example, and this is why I chose this, is the bow. Basically, like I showed you guys, the point 1, the point 2, and the point 3, that works for weapons as well. So a lot of people get confused on what weapon they're at. They're like, "Oh, I'm at double daggers. Am I at T5?" You know, because I mean the same thing that they think with armor. You know, but no. Depending on which tier the weapon is, it's just a completely different weapon. You know, like this is a bow, this is a war bow, this is a long bow, and they're just completely different weapons because of the E ability. A big part of this is the E ability. So with the bow, look here. The E ability is rapid fire. You get a self buff that does auto attack damage and attack speed boost, right? But then your Q, you get deadly shot, poison arrow, speed shot, frost shot. So you go up to the war bow, the E completely changes. So the E will be different for every single weapon in this game, and it as you can see, like say you go to spear, spear's E, reckless charge. pike, harpoon. Like, no matter what the weapon is, point 1, point 2, point 3, it'll always be different. Like, it'll always be different. And that's why a lot of people are like, oh, I just want to go to point 3 because it must be the strongest, you know? Which for some of the part, it might be true because stats do change. Because as you can see here, bow fighter, you go to, well, we can just show through auto attack damage. I mean, the Q and the W spells get a little bit more damage. Say, like, we'll take 2 examples. Speed shot, 83 damage. Actual damage, 53. And then you go up to longbow, see 68 and 107. So it does get a little bit more damage, but it's all, you always have to have your mindset as what is the E, you know? Is it worth having the E, and like what will the E bring to the table, you know? That's why this is why I picked this, is because warbow right now is so valuable in a lot of PvP areas because of the fact that its E just targets so many people. It does anybody in a 5-meter range, so it's like an AoE stun with a bow, and it's ranged, and it does almost a 5-second stun. Like, it's really good right now in PvP, Zergs especially, things like that, even Guild v Guild. So a lot of people are using warbow, not because, oh, like, point 2 is the best, you know? If that were to be true, then point 3 would always be the best, you know? So people are always using this right now. It's currently really good. But another good example is, for example, I mean, right now I main point 1 Warlock because of the fact that the E right here, Death Curse, it just does so much single target damage. I was like, oh wow, like I would like to do a lot of single target damage, you know? Another thing to consider on these trees is our offhanders, which are Shield, Torch, and Tome, which do different things. Tome pretty much does energy back. Torch is pretty good for a little bit more damage, and Shield is a little bit better for more defense. And the thing is let's get a good example. So, say you use a sword, right? A broadsword. The spells that you get are since it is a one-hander, and that's what I'm trying to explain, is all point 1s are pretty much one-handers, except for very few exceptions, which are the bow. I think that's it. I think the bow is the only one that is a 2-hander. Or maybe the quarterstaff. Might be the quarterstaff as well. See, you have 3 abilities, right? And you still have your E or whatever, but you don't have a passive like 2-handers. For example, the Claymore at the T2 of the broadsword has a passive, you know? The offhanders give you those passives pretty much. I think they're the exact same, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the same exact things, but they also give you extra stats. So it might be worth you going a one-hander point 1 and getting a couple extra offhand stats, because then you could level up those offhand stats separately, you know? Maybe get a lot more defense for, say, having a really good shield, you know? Let's say, like, the top-level shield, you get some more armor and such. Magical resistance. It might be worth it. You need to look at these things when considering what class you want to be kind of creating for yourself in this game. So all point 1s are pretty much one-handers, other than what I labeled, the bow and the quarterstaff. And then everything point 2 plus will always be 2-hander. And then in 2-handers, you can't use an offhand, and the offhands will then be useless. So sometimes if you know you're going to be using a 2-hander, like, say you predetermine your class is going to be right next to your staff fighter, with whatever armor, doesn't matter. You don't need to put anything into any types of offhands, any learning points into any types of offhands, because it'll be irrelevant to you in the late game. And what learning points are up here. Learning points, after you start getting your masteries up, for example, say you're at T7, in order to learn, you either have to get all this entire bar full of fame, or you can get to the red bar and use some learning points and, like, just boost your way up. But to getting to the late levels, it starts costing a lot. See, 866 for the nature staff. And that's just per one, and then the one below is 576, so it's like, that adds up, you know? I only have 877 right now. So you got to think about this. You either have to make separate tunes to start using your weapons by themselves, and then maybe, like, your crafting by itself, like, make different weapon or different tunes for that. But you have to consider these things, and the way learning points work is you only get them if you have premium status. You only get 20 a day if you have premium status, and if you don't, then you don't get any, and that kind of sucks. In order to be anywhere in this game, you kind of need premium status, but luckily premium status is really easy to get, so it's not really pay to win by any means. And that pretty much concludes the entirety of this video. I pretty much went over everything that there is to know. I hope you guys understood that this is the point 1, point 2, point 3 with the T-point system, and then with masteries, you'd be going up, like, this would be T8 because it's Elders, and then it would be Master's Claymore Enchanted, and then Grandmaster's Enchanted, and such, and just keeps going up. The last 2 levels pretty much just give you extra bonuses, which are still very useful. And have a nice day.